Alright, let's get straight into the video because I'm not in a good mood. The Phillies lose after blowing a 5-0 lead to the Boston Red Sox in a game in which they had 5 home runs, and Rob Thomson once again shows what an absolute fucking moron he is. Let's start there. So, the Phillies are up 5-0, and Jesus Luzardo is throwing a no-hitter, mind you, in the fourth inning. And then around the fourth or fifth inning, he loses control. He walks 4 batters in an inning. And not only does Rob Thomson not go to the bullpen and replace him, he doesn't have anybody warming up. So he walks 2 runners home, and then the next batter, grand slam. You lose the lead. That's number one. Number two, Rob Thomson. And he does this all the time, and I can't fucking stand it. And it didn't backfire on him, but this is just a process thing. It's a 1-run game, and he brings out one of his worst relievers in Daniel Roberts. I don't know what the hell his name is. They just called him up and they got him from like Texas or something. In a game where you didn't use your bullpen at all yesterday because Christopher Sanchez threw a complete game, and you have an off day tomorrow, so you have a fully rested bullpen, and then they could rest tomorrow. You have Orion Kirkring available. You have Banks. You have Strom. You have Lazar, you have everybody. You choose Daniel Roberts to use in that instance. Now, he doesn't give up a run, so he gets out of it unscathed. But now this is mistake number 3. In extra innings, he pinch runs Kyle Schwarber at first base. That's fine. He's probably not going to hit again for Weston Wilson. The problem is Weston Wilson then tries to steal second base and he gets thrown out. So that's 3 things right there that Rob Thomson just did terribly, and it shows why he's an absolute moron. I can't stand the guy. Is he the reason the Phillies are losing games? No. Is he helping them win games? Also no. All right, let's talk about the trade deadline. Because I'm hearing everyone talk about the trade deadline and how the biggest need is relief help. And don't get me wrong, Dave Dombrowski screwed this team in the offseason with the terrible acquisition of Jordan Romano. You let Estevez go, you let Hoffman go, and you didn't replace them. So now you have to add relief help. And that would be fine if you also didn't have huge holes in the batting order, which I believe are a bigger issue. And let me get to that. Right now you have 3 good hitters total. You have Trey Turner, who is having a great year, but for whatever reason, he can't hit a home run at home. He has no home runs at home in Citizens Bank Park. I don't know how that's possible. You have Kyle Schwarber, and you have Bryce Harper. After that, you have Alec Boehm, the giraffe, the penguin on ice skates, running around the bases. The 6'6", 230 slap hitter who hits like Juan Pierre, who can't hit home runs. He needs to be gone. I don't care what his average is. I don't care what he hits with runners in scoring position. He falls apart in the playoffs, and he hits singles. He has a career low OPS this year. I don't know how did a guy grow up being 6'6", probably the tallest guy on his team in the minors, all developing through the minors, and they're teaching him to hit like a slap hitter? I don't understand it. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that nobody else is good in the lineup. Nick Castellanos would swing at anything. Bryson Stott is statistically the worst starting second baseman in the major leagues. He had a great night tonight, and he'll go 0 for his next 30. So that's that. This team has 3 good hitters. They need to do what the 2021 Braves did when they went out and got Adam Duvall, they went out and got Jorge Soler, and they went out and got Jock Peterson. And they still won the World Series after Ronald Acuna Jr. tore his ACL. They either need to do that, or they need to go all in and push their chips in for a guy like Eugenio Suarez. Now, I know there's negatives with him. He's on an expiring deal. So you either have to re-sign and pay him a lot of money, or you lose him for nothing, and you'll have to give up some top prospects. And he's on the older side. I believe he's 34 or 35. That being said, if you get Suarez, you can slot him into the cleanup spot, and all of a sudden you have 2 guys that are going to hit 50 home runs on the year. And in doing so, you can maybe move Boehm to a third team, because even though he stinks, and I hate his guts personally, he still has value around the league. He's got about a WAR of like 3, so he's above replacement level, whereas Stott is not even that good. And then that also allows, I would dump Castellanos if I could, but there's just too many moves. That also would allow Castellanos to be hitting like 7th or 8th. And you can live with Castellanos like hitting 7th or 8th, because at least he's good for a home run now and then. Whereas Bohm is like technically the better player, but he's more harmful because he's hitting in the cleanup spot and he just shits down his legs in the playoffs and he throws tantrums, and we all know how that goes. I'm not going through that again. This team needs to learn their lesson. So you'll either need to go and get like 3 different outfielders and also relief pitchers, or go all in for Suarez and get a big cleanup hitter, a guy that can hit home runs. Because this is what people don't understand. In the playoffs, it's about hitting home runs. You're not going to be able to string together 4 or 5 singles in a row against Shohei Ohtani, or against Freddie Peralta, or against Matthew Boyd, like whatever elite pitchers you're playing in the playoffs. I mean, you go to the World Series and you face Tarek Skubal, you're not going to get 4 singles in a row off him. Home runs wins in the World Series. Stealing bases, home runs, all that stuff. Now, there's not only one way to win, but my point is this team lacks power. Even Nick Castellanos is barely hitting home runs this year. Alec Bohm, this guy's 28 years old. He's a third baseman. He's built like a freaking linebacker, and he can barely hit it over the left fielder's head. It's pathetic. This team needs power. Without Kyle Schwarber, they'd be fucked. Even Bryce only has like 13 home runs on the year. Granted, he missed some time, but still, Trey Turner only has 11. He can't hit a home run at home. That's really starting to piss me off. I don't know why that is. So going into the deadline, I'm sick of people saying, you trade 4 prospects for Mason Miller. Why? So he can pitch in maybe one playoff game that the Phillies win while the offense no-shows like the 2 previous years? No, you need an offensive player. You need to get creative. Now, if we're talking about guys that aren't the big names, yeah, you can maybe get for lesser prospects. Harrison Bader from Minnesota, again, he's an expiring deal. That wouldn't cost much. He's a guy I would look at. I would look at Ramon Laureano. I believe he's on Baltimore. Cedric Mullins on Baltimore. Any of those guys. I'm sure there's more I'm not thinking of. There's been rumors of Stephen Kwan. I am a fan of Stephen Kwan. I think he's a good player, but the problem with him is that he's going to cost more, and he's not exactly a power hitter, which is, again, what they need. When it comes to the Phillies prospects, it's not looking good. I mean, they have value, but none of these guys look like they're future stars at the moment. Andrew Painter has like a 4.84 ERA. Aiden Miller's batting .225. Justin Crawford, who is the most MLB ready, and this is why they haven't brought him up. And why me personally, I am not a fan of his, is because he has like 3 home runs all year and a very high ground ball rate. Granted, he's not a third baseman like Alec Bohm, and he's not playing a power position, so it's not as harmful. That being said, I don't know many star players that have only hit like 3 home runs in the minor leagues, so I'm good on that. That would be the first top prospect I would be looking to ship out. So there's tons of options out there. Ideally, you want the Phillies to keep some of their prospects. I would prefer to keep Aiden Miller. When it comes to Andrew Painter, is he gonna be like a Garrett Cole, or is he gonna be like a Sixto Sanchez, who we traded away for JT Realmuto and he just never recovered from his injuries? I don't know. He should be dominating AAA by now. I know he's recovering from Tommy John surgery, but like if you're this great, future ace, you should be dominating. And this just goes back to the offseason where Dave Dombrowski fixed none of the holes. The only trade he made of any significance was for Jesus Luzardo. And even if Luzardo was playing well and didn't just suck ass tonight, it's a bad use of resources. When you're starting, look, I know the cliche is like you can never have enough starting pitching, blah, 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 blah. But this team desperately needs hitting. They only have 3 good hitters. Now here we are again with the stacked rotation that we're going to waste because we have to watch Max Kepler stink. We have to watch Brandon Marsh suck ass while he has a long beard going down to his balls. We have to watch, all these other players, Weston Wilson. Like, enough already. Be serious and make a trade for somebody that's actually going to make an impact before Zach Wheeler retires in 2 years and we've just wasted all of this time for nothing and Bryce Harper's nearing his decline. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, stop talking about like a package for Mason Miller and relief pitchers. You need to go after a big bat. So that's where I'm at. Tonight's loss was disgusting. They're not in first place anymore. This was worse than the loss in San Francisco where they lost on the inside the park home run. They were at home. They were up 5-0. They got a home run from Nick Castellanos and Bryson Stott on the same night. That will never happen again. Let God strike me with thunder, lightning, whatever the hell, hail, I don't care. That will never happen again. They wasted that tonight. So now we'll see what happens in the next coming days and in the upcoming week with the trade deadline approaching. But this team has to make a move, and they have to make a move quickly. So, man, leave me a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This team is torture. We'll see what they do. When they make a move, I will react to it here. But for now, I'll see you next time.